After we analyzed Dreamcatcher's songwriting and sound in the last video, we came up with the genius idea of trying to write and produce a Dreamcatcher-style song ourselves. So in 2 weeks we made a full song from start to finish in their style, except we didn't. See, making a Dreamcatcher song, or any song really, is unsurprisingly very hard, and we started this project way back in March before the release of Maison and Vision.
Making a song without a plan is like building a house without an architect. It may be possible, but it would be very difficult, and worst case, the entire house falls apart right before getting finished. So in order to have any chance, we are trying to get in the headspace of Leez Ollounder and Dreamcatcher at actually finishing this project, we needed a very clear plan. And this was not easy at all. See, as we showed you in the last video, there isn't just one Dreamcatcher style. Their style is rather constantly evolving with every comeback. So we didn't just want to make something in a style that they had already done. Instead, we wanted to take the elements that are similar in their past songs and use them in an innovative yet still Dreamcatcher way.
Referencing is something a lot of professional music makers need to do all the time. Essentially, references are songs that fit the vibe of the song you're making. They may be picked by an artist that you're producing and songwriting for, or they may be picked by a label which is looking for songs for the next comeback of their artist. This actually happens in K-pop a lot. So how does one use these references? Well, different people have different approaches, of course, but essentially you aim to analyze your references to figure out how they achieve the sound you yourself are after. You can look at song structure, chords, sound choices, melody patterns.
Do keep in mind, however, that referencing does not mean copying a song directly. Rather, the aim here is to understand why a song works a certain way and then use this understanding to create your own unique song. Since Dreamcatcher are often drawing influences from many different genres in one song, we drew inspiration from references in various styles and we tried to combine those with Dreamcatcher and Leez Ollounder's own songwriting and production techniques.
For verse 1 we drew inspiration from a track shown to us by our great friend Rusty. The somewhat creepy vibe with the bells reminded us a little bit of Red Sun, so we thought something in this vein could easily suit Dreamcatcher. So we then combined this with the flow of energy of Odd Eye.
You can notice that verse 8 is relatively minimalistic in terms of production and thus gives the track lots of space to grow. Then, when transitioning into verse B, we suddenly get lifted up with synth melodies and guitars, as well as additional drums being added. We tried to match this flow of energy within our track as well, and we also utilized pads and a synth melody to lift up the energy as well as enhance the stereo feel of the section for the verse B.
So, key points for verse writing. Start simple, so that you have space to grow. Increase the energy as you go, but don't overdo it, you still want the chorus to be the most interesting part. And be careful with the melodies in the instrumental, you want to have enough space for the top line.
While there's no set rule for pre-choruses, we usually see one of two cases. Either the pre-chorus completely contrasts the verse and the chorus and serves as somewhat of a break, or the pre-chorus can build on the verses and add more energy before it leads us into the chorus. We hear this in Odd Eye. This is indeed the approach we wanted to go loosely with. In terms of genre and instrumentation, we were mostly inspired by Idol Uki's solo project Bonnie and Clyde, which had strong trance influences.
You pick me up when I feel down, no matter how deep in the night, I got your back when we...
And no, Uki did not overnight join Dreamcatcher, even though we would love to see an Idol Dreamcatcher collaboration. What stood out to us the most in this and other tracks in this style was the drive of the songs, strong bounce and the feeling of moving forward, while at the same time having a very nice feeling of depth and space, which is exactly what Dreamcatcher do in Odd Eye, just in a different style.
We also introduced one of the key Dreamcatcher sounds here, the guitars. We slowly filtered them in to add to the building up feel, but more on those in the next section.
So the key points for the pre-chorus were increasing the energy and having a build up towards the chorus, and introducing guitars.
It's not a Dreamcatcher title track without guitars. Of course, this is rather broad, as guitars are used in many genres, so more specifically we were after the heavy sound and feel that various metal styles often have. To be even more precise, we were thinking of these specific breakdowns. Actually, take a listen for yourselves. The key point here, away from the genre-specific sounds, is the halftime drum pattern. The sudden slowdown combined with the downbeat chord stabs introduce a new feel full of heaviness and tension, and this is exactly what we wanted to convey in our A chorus.
But we still had to make it coherent with the sections we already created. As we already had this cyberpunk image, we wanted to make a very distorted bass sound that's commonly used in these types of songs.
So ultimately we combined the heavy bass line with guitar riffs. We had the guitars follow the bass line, except they're playing power chords. Huge thanks to P.JBoy who recorded all the guitar parts in this song for us. It's important to note that the B chorus is quite a bit busier than the A chorus. This serves as a release after that big breakdown feel that we had in the A chorus.
So the key points for the chorus are heavy bass combined with guitars, halftime fairly empty A chorus which relies on tension, and a much busier B chorus which serves as a release. In the other sections we took inspirations from other artists and genres, but for the bridge we just wanted to do Dreamcatcher. We stuck to the classics and used a dramatic piano. To further enhance the contrast with heavier sections, here we completely omitted the bass. This gave us extra space in the frequency spectrum, which we filled in with low piano notes with high velocity, further adding to the darkness of the piano sound.
So, key points for the bridge. Use this section to offer contrast. Leave the bass out for a gentler feel, and enhance this feel by using piano.
Many Dreamcatcher songs have dance breaks, which heavily allude to the chorus. We thought we would build onto our A chorus instrumental but change up the rhythm to regular time from the previous halftime. This increases the energy and adds a lot more options for a choreographer to work with. However, we wanted to keep the tension relatively high with the intention to resolve it in the final B chorus. We did this by adding a siren-like sound in the background.
Leez and Ollounder often like to include guitar licks, little guitar solos, just guitar ear candy in the instrumentation. We have a bit of space between the end of the dance break and the final chorus, and we thought it would be the perfect place to add a short guitar solo.
So here are the key points for the dance break and the final chorus. The dance break is the A chorus but in regular time. Siren sounds add tension, and the guitar solo leads us perfectly into the final chorus.
So far so good, but as cool as an instrumental is, a lot of what makes Dreamcatcher sound like Dreamcatcher lies in the top line. Remember the 3-part melody from our last video? Well, we tried to do a similar thing in the very beginning of our verse as well.
Inside, the hints of broken whispers are feeling me without. Voices in the darkness cry.
Similarly to the instrumental, the top line also increases in energy as the verse progresses.
Voices in the darkness cry. My mind is flowing out, beckon me to go. I am falling down, looking for a light.
Oftentimes in K-pop, the pre-chorus is the same after both verses. However, Dreamcatcher is one of those groups which changes things a little bit the second time around. We did this by having a different ad-lib the second time around, which is on the higher and the more intense sides.
Running from a murder, up and down in circles in this labyrinth. Walls are moving. Running from a murder, up and down in circles in this labyrinth. Walls are moving closer.
The A-chorus top line is rather empty, loosely inspired by their scream chorus.
Please, I don't want to scream. Double R's come, then talk.
It's built around Phrygian, which can sound rather dark in some context, including this one. The B chorus is much busier, with the vocal delivery matching the intensity of the instrumental.
Help me now, bring salvation, pray and vow. Give up now, give up now, give up your mind. Throw it all, throw it all, throw it all away.
One should always consider memorability when making music. One way to do this is by having the title of the song be repeated a bunch of times and also make sure it's in places where it really hits. What do we mean by that?
Please, I don't want to scream. Oh, don't forget, but just scream.
As you can hear, they say the phrase in the empty part right before the chorus, or the drop, and then at the end of the chorus. This frames it quite nicely, as the first and the last thing we hear of the chorus is, well, the title of the song. They do this in Boca as well. So, we took the same approach in our own song.
Nothing left to say, pray. No, nothing left to say, just pray.
The second verse starts with the rap, which is pretty standard for Dreamcatcher and K-pop in general.
Yeah, live it up. 무의미해. 벨버둥치네. 같은 곳에 머문 듯해.
We wrote this section with Dami in mind and referenced Maison unknowingly, as we wrote it before Maison actually came out.
Is this all a waste? I'm trapped in all this drama, looking far and wide beyond. There's no nirvana, trying an endless number of choices.
The bridge also has the three-part melody structure, and in the second half starts building to lead us into the dance break. While writing it, we noticed something very interesting in Dreamcatcher's bridges. The last line would sometimes be an ascending melody, starting fairly low but getting increasingly higher in both pitch and intensity, ending in a rather high note.
Let go, softly close your eyes and pray.
As we mentioned last time, Dreamcatcher's vocal production is really strong, so we tried to match that. We utilized a lot of different harmonies across all sections. One thing that a lot of Dreamcatcher songs have is these airy ad-lib background vocals. Naturally, we had to include these as well.
So this is what we ended up with.
And huge thanks to Cal for making the album cover. His socials are in the description below, so please check him out.
You can pre-save it now, and please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.
Inside, the hints of broken whispers are feeling me.
it's all a waste, I'm trapped in all this drama. Looking far and wide beyond, there's no nirvana. Trying an endless number of choices. My head is soft, this voice that keeps on crying, sighing, begging me, prodding me, coaxing me, forcing me out.